Hello, my name is Jeff Adams, and I am here to talk to you about the philosophy of idealism. Plato, 428 to 347 BC, has been considered the father of idealism by most. Question is, what is idealism? I found that in modern times, it's actually been a struggle for many people to come up with a clear identification of what idealism is. But different definitions have come about. On page 235 of Anthony and Benson's, our textbook, says idealism is the view that all basic reality resides in the realm of the idea rather than in the realm of the material world. It does not deny the existence of a physical universe, but contends that the highest order of reality is to be found in the observed rather than in the world being observed. Again, page 235 of Anthony and Benson. Our other textbook is by Knight, defines idealism. At its core is an emphasis on the reality of ideas, thoughts, minds, or selves, rather than a stress on material objects and forces. Idealism emphasizes the mind as being basic or prior to matter, and even contends that the mind is real while matter is a byproduct of the mind. This is the direct contrast to materialism, which claims that matter is real and the mind is an accompanying phenomenon. I do Kindle, and that was at location 832. There were not page numbers in the Kindle. Plato was a student of Socrates, and he developed an academy, a residential school called the Academy in Athens. Aristotle became one of his students. Plato believed that there was a great benefit in state-controlled education for society's children. He believed that children needed to be removed from their parents at the age of 10 and that they should live in the school. Basically, civil authority should be raising the child from 10 years old and up to keep the child from developing the parents' bad habits. The problem with this is that all the children being raised the same in the same school by the same civil authorities really lacked individualism, and so that's one of the problems with Plato's idealism. Plato did believe, though, that girls should be educated along with the boys. In that day and time, boys were usually the only ones being educated. Plato believed that to educate half of society only benefited half of society, and so to get the full benefit of education, everyone needed to be educated. There's some pictures or bust of the gentlemen that are involved with the academy. Plato had an idea of what man was, and his idea is sevenfold. He says man is composed of two basic substances, matter and spirit, a body and a soul. The superior substance is spiritual and immortal. Something I've said when I've preached several times is you are a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. Evil tendencies in man are usually associated with matter. Although there is a universe and immutable human nature, important differences are found in man. These differences are rooted in the different levels of intelligence. Social classes are determined by levels of intelligence, and that the intellectual elite are charged with the function of governing the masses. Man possesses a free will and is responsible for his behavior. Very true. Now, you have to kind of slow down on this one. He says reason alone gives true knowledge, and sense knowledge is woefully unreliable. In other words, your senses are completely unreliable as far as knowledge goes. He had an idea of supreme virtues that we all should share: temperance, courage, wisdom, and justice. Idealism is based on the notion, and this is basically gets down to the root of it. Idealism is based on the notion that reality is grounded in human consciousness. The primary idea behind idealism as a philosophy is that what a person perceives to be real is based on the workings of the individual's mind. So what you have in your mind is what is reality to you. An example of that is when people engage in negative self-talk. They can perceive themselves as failures, leading to self-fulfilled prophecy and feeling like failures because that's the way they perceive themselves. Or they can choose to find an ideal self to which to aspire to represent the reality in them, whether or not it matches how others perceive them. So basically, what someone thinks of themselves may not match what others think, but that's okay. It's about yourself. Um, Plato had an allegory called the cave. Now, I'm just really paraphrasing this, but basically, it was people that were trapped and had been their whole lives tied down in the bottom of a cave with their backs to the opening, and then there was a fire built behind them. All they could see was a wall of the cave, and anytime something went between them and the fire, it cast a shadow on the wall. Now they couldn't turn around to see what it was, so a dog, cat, mouse, whatever it was that went between them and the fire, all they could see was a shadow on the wall, and that became their reality. One of the people jumped up and was able to escape, and when he got out of the cave, realized that the reality he had been living wasn't the real reality. And so he gets excited, goes back in and tries to save the others to let them come out, but they refuse to leave and they stay in the cave, which is they want to stay with their reality. They wanted to stay where they were at and safe. Um, the idea behind the cave allegory was that people tied up represented most of the human race. We're just there in our own environment. Humans only know what is around them, thus the cave is shadows, and that is the reality. Socrates wanted to explain it this way, that the one who escaped and discovered a whole new reality, knowledge, was a philosopher, an idealist. And the people who stayed in the cave represent most humans today, that we just want to stay where we're at. We're happy and safe in our own reality, such as I was raised in East Tennessee in the mountains. You've got people up there that had never left those mountains and probably never will, and that is their reality, and that's all they want to perceive. They don't want to get out into the world and see anything else. Idealism in education is beneficial. Plato's system of public education, as you can see there, he had the many age groups that he broke learning into. 4 to 6 was nursery, 6 to 13 elementary school, 13 to 16 instrumental music or high school, that or middle school, 16 to 20 gymnastics and military service, 20 to 30 sciences, 30 to 35 dialectic, philosophy, psychology, sociology, 35 to 50 was service to the state, 50 to death they became philosophers. And it's very close to our system today. 0 to 3 infancy, 3 to 6 preschool, 6 to 11 elementary school, 12 to 14 middle school, 15 to 18 high school, then 18 through 30 is the higher levels of education. Idealism in secular education is part of what forms our public school system and how it's ran today. Specifically, age-based teaching focuses on math, science, history, and language, reading and writing, phys ed, recess, and physical education. The teacher is central to the learning process. And then it can be beneficial in Christian education as well. Set up the age-based learning, such as Sunday school. The push for knowledge is something that needs to be pushed on Christian learners. Teacher-centered learning. Idealists believe in a lecture style of learning, preaching, knowing that the Spirit is the highest power, but it can be detrimental. Idealists believe that the self is the most important thing, placing self on equal plane with God. Knowledge can be gained by oneself. The person does not need help from God to understand. Some believe the mind is equal to God's mind. Others believe all there is are ideas and material things just come as part of that. Here's a quote from Plato. Someday in the distant future, our grandchildren's grandchildren will develop a new equivalent to our classrooms. They will spend many hours in front of boxes with fires glowing within them. And my thoughts on that was TVs, computers, cell phones, I believe. May they have the wisdom to know the difference between light and knowledge. And that was Plato. And that was it. I thank you so much for listening and appreciate your attention. Thank you.